Hi guys. So, hello. So this is my first live for Instagram. My first installation of being KCD on IG. Um, and so I wanted to do this. I wanted to do it for a while. I usually do it on Facebook. And I decided to do it on IG. And then I'll feed it my to the rest of yes. All right. Hi guys. So I decided to do my Instagram live of being KCD, and then I'll feed it to the other resources, the other social media platforms. And I wanted to just use this to talk to my friends around the world, and to give my 2 cents on just life, you know. Um, it's kind of sad that we're all at home now, so we're just at home, um, relaxing and doing almost nothing, right? Hold on, let me see if I can. No, I guess not. Um, so I was waiting for. I'm waiting for my girlfriend to jump on, and so when she does, I'll pull her in. Uh, hey guys. And it's kind of interesting. I don't know what's going on with everyone. I'm home. I've been home for the last, since the 12th of last month. So I'm working remotely, and working on the projects that I'm doing, as well as doing my work for BKM. Uh, what else is going on? It's interesting how things have just changed so much for all of us, right? Sorry. Things have just changed so drastically, for all of us. Um, from going to our everyday, going to work, and taking the bus, and the trains, and now we can't do any of that. I mean, you can, but everything's at a risk. Uh, I think that it's just very telling of the times, and sometimes the universe is trying to tell us to slow down and take things easy, and we tend to not do that, you know? And then here comes COVID 19, and we go from saying we have no time to do things to having all the time in the world, right? Right. So we go from to now having all the time in the world. And so if we leave this whole pandemic behind in a few months, and we go back into our everyday normal the same way that we came into this, it'll be such a waste, you know. So I am. Oh, I'm having. I made some peppermint tea, but then I put a couple slices of ginger in it. So that's what I'm having now. So I'm waiting for my friend to join so I can pull her into the conversation. Hey Geneve. So there's Geneve and Geneve and Geneve. So there's two Geneves on, which is so funny. It's interesting. It's an interesting that around the world we all um, we're all now in the same space. So we're all in the same mind space, and we're all in the same predicament. You understand? So it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter what God you serve. It does not matter who you sleep with. For the first time in a very long time, we're all in the same place. And we're all at the mercy of the same predicament, right? So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting to listen to people. My friends talk about, their lives and what's going on, and it's like, it's all the same thing. Like we just don't know when. We don't know when it's just going to end. We don't know how. There's not a cure. We have people dying and people getting sick every day. Um, and I made a post a couple weeks ago, and I said, at the end of this, hey Shavar, we will all have been touched by this in one way or the other, whether we contract COVID um, or someone we know contracts it. Like we will all be touched by this in some way, right? Or the other. In one way or the other, we'll be touched by this. So I'm actually waiting right now for. I'm good. I'm good. I wish you all well. Um, I'm trying to see if. Trying to find. Sorry, let me see. I'm trying to find my girlfriend. No, she's not on yet, unfortunately. Okay. So let's see. So yeah, I don't see her. Yeah, I don't see her on at all. So uh yeah. So that's a kind of waste of time. Um so Shavar said it is affecting our lives, our jobs, our families, and our friends. And you're right. It affects all of us. And it's not just some, it is everybody that's affected. So even it's like you people who are like racist, prejudiced, whatever is they are, this does not um there's no distinction. This makes no distinction regardless to who you are. It affects us all, right? It affects every single one of us. Okay, so there she is. Let me grab her. And she'll be on in a few seconds.
Hi,
Hey, Zozo.
how are you?
I'm good. So, Zozo, I want you to tell everyone where you are first
Okay,
and who you are.
okay. Hi everyone. My name is Zoë van Reeken and I currently live in the Netherlands. So, but I'm from Trinidad.
Right. So,
Yes.
Zoe, how is this affecting you guys over there?
Well, I mean, I've always loved to be home. I've always
Hmm.
loved to stay in the house, but sometimes it gets a little bit too much to stay inside every day. So I think that really it it kind of messes with the daily routine that you set up for yourself without quarantine and without, having to stay inside all the time. And, it's nice to go outside, like it's nice to go on walks and everything like that. But, everybody I feel has the same mindset right now. Like, everyone says, okay, if I stay home at this time, then everyone can go out. So that means that later when everyone's home, I can go out. But then everyone thinks like that. So then everybody goes out at that same
Right.
time, and it's a little
Hmm.
bit more difficult for me because I live with my grandmother. And, it's not to say like I cannot get the virus. I can still be a carrier of it. I can still hold it and it will come later on. God forbid, but it will still, but my grandmother, she can easily get it. And it scares me when I go out. It scares me when I go to the grocery. It scares me when I go on a walk, if someone comes too close to me, you know, I just think that, oh gosh, if I go home, I have to wash my hands, I have to take off, you know, all my clothes, I have to go in the shower, everything, and you know, get rid of it because I'm
Are
still
you bathing with Dettol?
no, you know, it's sold out. They don't have it.
Because
No.
I know over there everybody have Dettol.
Yes, they don't have it here anymore. In every pharmacy I've been to, they don't have it. It's all sold out, you know. And I must say though that doing a pretty good job in the groceries and stuff like that. You know, they give you the shopping carts, and then there's only a certain amount that's allowed in the store at one time. And then if so, there's a line going all the way to the end of the street now, and
Uh-huh.
you know, it's so much quieter, and it's so strange because I don't necessarily live in like a really busy neighborhood, but
Hmm.
it's still, you know, it still has people once in a while, and it still, you know, has a little bit of movement, but walking at night, it gets kind of eerie, it gets kind of creepy. You're just like, oh gosh, something's gonna come out and bite me.
So what has been the temperature of the country that you're in? Because you're in
The Netherlands, Holland,
the
yeah,
Netherlands. You're
yeah,
in Holland. So
yeah.
what's the temperature of the people there? Like how would they mainly responding to it? Has there been like here, right?
Yeah.
Here, there are people who are talking about, all of the theories, the 5G, the this, the that, the. It's a government conspiracy. And yes, some of it does have merit. They do have some points. But again, there are people who are still, and I guess around the planet, it's the same way. People are still communing and having parties and
Yeah,
not really taking
exactly.
it serious.
Yes.
Do you
Well,
you guys see that there?
there was a big problem in the north of in another city, not where I live, but in the city where it broke out the worst. They had a huge
Hmm.
problem there because, you know, all over Europe we have Carnival, and
Hmm.
it's around the same time as Caribbean Carnival, you know. And but here it's really different because they dress up, and it's still cold, you know. It's still like winter time, so people they go to clubs, and it was right around the time when Corona broke out terribly here. So
Hmm.
that's when it really got bad. That's when it got even more like, you know, it got even more serious than it was in the beginning because no one was taking it on. And then I personally, at first, I was just like, it's not gonna come here. We're gonna contain it. China's gonna contain it. Whoever has it is gonna, you know, make it okay so that it wouldn't spread. So now, I mean, people still go out. People still, you know, they do a lot of things that they were doing before, but
Right.
Dutch people don't necessarily take very well to authority. So if, you know, if someone comes and they say, and like I was reading in England actually how two people were having a picnic on the beach, and they're not even allowed to do that, you know? They're not even allowed to leave their house for more than like an hour, and that's to
Right.
exercise, you know? So it really, I mean, the people here, they I can't really say because a lot of people do take into account, like, you know, we do have a lot of elderly people in my neighborhood. So the people who have who my age, younger, young adults and stuff like that, you know, they do take into consideration that, okay, you know, it's not just us that has to deal with these problems, you know. It's not just us that is dealing with our kids going out around other people and they come back home. It's not just about us going to the grocery, you know. We have to, I feel like for this problem to be resolved, for the pandemic to actually be contained for how long, for however long that it needs to be contained, for us to get a cure, for us to get, you know, enough supplies, enough hospital beds, whatever we need to work together as, you know, as a world, as a community, as a society, to try and to just help each other out, because these are the times, and we will see it later months to come. These are the times when we need to stick together, when we can't be selfish, you know.
Yeah.
And
So
I
how is
think
this what's going on with you and Granny? So is Granny you're going to taking Granny out for walks,
she
bike
takes me
rides? What
out
you and
for
Granny
walks.
do?
She takes me out for walks. I prefer to stay home.
Yeah.
I prefer to stay home. because I just think that everybody has to take a part, everybody has to take a stand and say, no, I'm not going to go outside, because that's how it's going to slow down. Everybody's going to have that mindset, as I said. Everybody's going to have that mindset, oh, if they stay inside, I can go outside. But that's,
Right,
if
right.
everybody thinks like that, then it's never going to get better you
Yeah.
know
And I think that so for me, like I get up and I go out for my walks like early in the morning. So when this
hmm
whole thing started, I would get
hmm
up like at I'd go out for my walks like around 4 because that's when I get up to go to the gym normally and my
wow.
gym's closed. So I was like, let me just get up, and I started going out early, and and there was no one outside. If there's one
hmm
person, there was a lot. But over the weeks, I realized that I live on two major streets, and the major streets literally would have no vehicles. There would be one
wow.
vehicle like every 5, 10 minutes,
hmm
until it got to a point where there was no vehicles except for
wow.
public transportation.
Yeah,
And that was coming like every half an hour or so.
yeah,
I mean, it completely changed. It completely changed everything that are normal.
yeah,
Like I don't know if you guys are doing like homeschooling where everything's done virtually now.
yeah, yeah.
So you're doing virtual school?
Yeah, and that is tough, because you just lose, because normally in school, school is just, it's a program. School is a scheduled thing.
Right,
It's just, you get so used to waking up every day 6 o'clock, and I have to ride my bike to school, right? So,
right.
I got so used to, because in Trinidad, my mommy was driving me around everywhere.
Now you
I
have to
didn't
be
have to,
independent.
I didn't have to ride my bike. So, but hey, you get used to doing everything like on a schedule, on a time schedule, and then as like
Hmm.
when it broke out, the government here was saying, no, we're gonna keep the schools open, we're gonna keep the schools open. Um, Everybody still go to school, still do this, still do that, and then the days came, or it happened over a weekend. The days came, and they said, no, we're gonna close all these schools until, it was supposed to be until March, the end of March, and then they changed it to the end of April. I lose track of time now. I don't even know. But it's so difficult. For me, it's really difficult to keep track of the time, because I would wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, I would do my classes online, and then that's an hour. And then I have a next class in the afternoon, that's another hour. So by the time it's 5 o'clock, I think that it's 7 o'clock, because now that it's turned back to summertime, it's
Right,
lighter earlier, and it's lighter darker. I mean, later. It
right.
stays it stays light, So I get kind of confused, because I just think, oh, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I have time, and then I look at my clock, and it's 10 o'clock. Oh my gosh. I lose complete track of time. Like I
Yeah.
can't keep up.
I was talking to Richard Young the other day, and I said to him, I said, we have 3 days a week now. It's yesterday, today, and tomorrow until further notice,
Okay.
right? And I had posted it on my page like a few weeks ago. And it's interesting because I was saying earlier before you came on, I was saying that, regardless to who we are, with the color of our skin, which God we serve,
Yeah.
what our sexual orientation is, what our beliefs are, where we live in the world, we're all at the mercy of the same pandemic,
Exactly.
right? All of our lives have changed. And I had made a post the other day and I said, by the end of this, we will all have been touched by COVID-19 in one way or the other, whether we
Mhm.
experience it personally or by someone that we know. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, as of yesterday, there are 3 people who I know who've passed, right?
Oh gosh.
2 of them were older people. One of them was someone who's my age. And so it's interesting because you can't grieve the way that you normally would grieve,
Yeah.
right? So that's another new normal.
Yeah.
Um, when there's a funeral, the funerals aren't the same way. So you have a virtual funeral.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's
Or you're
so
sitting or you're
weird.
sitting 6 feet apart from your family.
Yeah, and I
People who
mean, and
don't.
not even that. Like some people are not leaving. Like here in New York, there were hundreds of bodies that were unclaimed for weeks.
Yeah.
And so they made a mass grave and were burying them like 4 deep,
I
three and
saw
four
that.
deep. So people weren't even going out to claim the bodies of their deceased. You know, so this is the new normal until further notice. Like you like I can't grieve the same way that I would grieve if I could walk around freely as normal, right? I can't go to the funeral home and visit the body. I couldn't go to the hospitals to visit my friends
Yeah.
who were sick because you had to have special permission. And if you go to the hospital and you didn't have COVID-19 or symptoms, they would turn you away. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it had to be important. A friend of mine, her mother goes for some kind of drainage, and it's been like almost 2 weeks. The woman couldn't get the service because
God.
they told her, they called her and said, because she has an underlying condition, and they said don't bring your mom to the hospital because they are on COVID-19 watch. You
Wow.
know, so it's like it's interesting, and people can't. You know, it's like people are like going crazy and saying, "Oh, I don't know what it's like to be home, and I can't be home, and this is driving me
Yeah.
crazy." I mean,
I feel like now people who was always outside their house will learn to finally stay inside the house. Because
like your
oh
house.
gosh. Oh gosh. I have a friend and she always wants to be outside the house and now she's just like, Zoe, I understand why you like to stay inside the house. Cause I mean for me, I don't if in Trinidad, I was going out with my friends, I was going out with my mommy, But here was just like I go to school and I come back home and I do that again the next day.
Right.
And so for me, it just wasn't really a big deal. But I like to go places once in a while. So that's
Yes, I saw you were in London.
I like to go out
I
once in a while.
I saw you in London.
Yes, I was in London. Oh, London. And actually when I was in London, that's when I started to hear about the pandemic in China.
Hmm.
So, and for some people, it was I read something about um this lady on I've read it on Instagram, but it was from Facebook, and she said how it was the 5G and they want to implant a chip in us to do whatever. I was like, people are dying and people are getting sick. People who already have sicknesses which are very hard to treat in the first place are being turned away. Elderly people are being turned away for to save younger people. It is not a joke, and I feel like in the beginning, everyone took a lot of people took it as a they didn't take it seriously
So,
and they took it as a joke and they still went out, they still went to parties, they still did this and they still did that. And now
but Zozo,
we are
people
reaping.
still are. That's the problem. So you still have
Exactly.
like look at Trinidad, right? Like over the last weekend, they arrested like they broke up like three different parties. But those are parties that you know about. What about the ones that you don't hear about? Here in New
Yeah.
York, a few weeks ago, there was a party, West Indian party, and several people that went to the party, like the majority of people that went to the party, contracted COVID, right? And several of them have died,
Yeah.
you know, because you don't want to stay home. You want to go out and still have a party, not knowing. And I think what it is that um, with a lot of times people are not thinking that maybe I have it, right? So they're saying I don't have it, and I know the people
Yeah.
who are going to be here, but you don't know where that person's been,
Exactly.
right? And who that person's associated themselves with.
Exactly.
So how are you to know what they have? Like I saw this live with this guy, and he was talking about how he and this girl were talking, and they were talking about how if you have a friend and you want to go visit them, you should go visit them, and this is a whole hoax, and the government's trying to control us, and this and that and
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, if that's all well and good when you don't have kids and when you don't have a family, and you want to jeopardize your life, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the people who have children and have elderly people living with them and have a family that they live in a house with?
Yeah.
Like, for you to advise someone to bring people into their home,
Yeah.
knowing what's out there and the fact that you don't really know what their schedule habits are. So this person might be going by Tom, Dick, Harry, Lucy, Sally, and Jane, and they come into your house with their clothes
Yeah.
and sit on a chair, and they're leaving something
See?
behind, and you
You see why you must take your clothes off when you come home from school? Why you should not lie down on your bed? Listen, and why you should take off your shoes all the time when you come inside the house? My mother, oh my gosh, my mommy, I swear, if I don't take off my shoes, she wouldn't. If she could, she wouldn't let me in the house. I swear, if she could lock the gate,
she
if
probably
she could
wouldn't.
lock the gate before I could reach in the house, she would.
She
That is her
probably
pet
wouldn't.
peeve. That, and you know you know my mother. She would. But oh gosh, no,
But
and
it's so
I
interesting
was telling
how
my mommy that too. Mm.
it's interesting how a lot of this is for us as West Indians. This is common sense. This is second nature for us, right? So our outside clothes we don't wear in the house. We come home, we drop our shoes at the door, and we go straight to our bedroom, take our clothes off, put it in the dirty clothes, and you go and bathe your skin, right? Because first of all, it can't be in your mother house. You can't come in nowhere wrong your mother with no dirty, no clothes you're outside.
Exactly,
So you have
exactly.
outside clothes and
And
inside
inside
clothes,
clothes. Oh yeah.
and washing your hands is second nature. I remember I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day, and I was saying to her, I was like, it's so funny to like be going to the bathroom, right? So there's an employee bathroom that's downstairs, which most of the time you don't go to because you ain't go downstairs. So you go and to the main bathroom,
Mhm.
right, where customers go. And I remember we have a one of the custodians. His name is Aldo. He's Italian, and from the almost 4 years ago when I started at the museum, he would say to me all the time, he says, I really admire you. He's like, you're so clean. He said, I said, what do you mean? And he says, you always wash your hands. He's like, you wash your hand, you come in, you wash your hands before you go to the urinal, and then you come back from the urinal and you wash your hands again. I said, but that's how I was raised. Like, I'm not going to put my dirty hands on my willy, you know? Like, who does that? I mean, that's just how I think. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
my granny used to say, if you put your dirty hands on your willy go drop off. So of course you're terrified to put your dirty hands on your willy, right?
Oh God.
So,
Oh my
so I
gosh.
was terrified, and even as an adult, where it's foolishness. I mean, not foolishness. Now you realize it's the real deal. But
Oh
even
God.
as an adult, it is so ingrained in who we are that being sanitary is second nature for you as a West Indian because you are terrified into being clean.
Yeah. And a lot of times here in Europe especially, we have to pay for water, you know? So and it's very expensive as well. So, I mean, when I came, I was still doing the same thing I was doing. I still do the same thing. I bathe in the morning and I bathe in the night. No matter if I
Uh-huh.
have to go, no matter if I stay home whole day, I have to bathe twice a day. And I don't
Even
know,
in the winter, right?
even in the winter, oh my gosh, people were not bathing. They were bathing like once every 2 days.
Girl, when I first came to America, right? And I would talk to like people I work with, and they'd be like, you always smell so clean. And I was like, well, because I bathe. Like I bathe in the morning and I
Exactly.
bathe before I go to work, when I get home. And they're like, oh, well, I just bathe like maybe like every other day. Or if I smell, I bathe. And I'm like, No.
That ain't gonna work.
And so as I got older, right? As I got older, I a couple of times, like when I was living in Long Island in the summer and I was off, I wouldn't bathe, right? And so one time I went to the gym. So this one day I didn't bathe from the day before, and then I went to the gym the morning early, and I came home and I was like, I'll just bathe later. And then I smelled this like smell, right? And I was like, what the hell is that smell? So I'm like, I put my hand behind my ear because I never experienced it before. So I put my hand behind my ear. I smell it. I was like, ooh. So I called my girlfriend, right? I called my girlfriend, Roslyn. I said, Roslyn, oh my God, like I just smelled this smelliness, and I put my hand behind my ear and I smell it and it was stink. And she's like, you don't know that behind your ears is the stinkingest thing?
Oh my god.
Zoe, it never happened again. Bathing
Oh my
regular.
gosh. No, I'm like,
Regular.
boys my age are the worst. The worst. They wouldn't, because I go to a pretty international school, you know. So I have a
Uh-huh.
Kenyan friend, and it's the same thing. It's very similar to West Indian culture, you know. As soon as you step in the house, you have to take off your shoes, you know.
Right.
So first time I went by her, and I have another friend who's from Bulgaria, and I mean they're not. I mean I guess they're pretty strict, but her mom isn't. So she walks inside the house with the shoes on. So I stopped. I was like, Beyonce, and she's like, come, thanks. I was like, you have to know how to take off your shoes because, and it was crazy to me because a lot of when I first moved, a lot of people. I'm the only Trinidadian and I'm the only West Indian in my school. We have a lot of Antillean students, right, from
Hmm.
Curacao, Aruba, Bonaire, but
So
the
the Dutch
Dutch,
West Indies
yeah, the Dutch West Indies. But you know, it's still a very different, a very very different culture.
culture, because they are more European in their
Yeah,
upbringing.
exactly.
It's like the French Caribbeans the same way. They're
Hmm.
very French.
So when I first moved, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, Trinidad! That's so cool. What is Trinidad? Where is it? Is that in Africa? Like, where are you from?" I was like,
And you're
"First of
like,
all,"
I'm like 2 islands away from you.
I'm like, "Do you?" I'm like, "Okay, it's in the Caribbean, whatever, whatever." So then they're like, "How is it there? Is it like Jamaica?" I'm like, "Oh gosh, don't be that stereotypical, you know, person who thinks that every island in the Caribbean is Jamaica." So I just
Jamaica.
explained it to them, and then when it broke out, I still had school, so January, February months of like the earlier months of the year. I was explaining to people, I was like, you see why you must take off your clothes when you reach home from school. You cannot be lying down in your bed in your outside clothes. And especially here, we have trams, we have buses. You sit down in the people dirty bus, in the people dirty tram.
So
And
I always think about people. So I try not to
and
sit,
you're going and sitting
right?
on your bed.
I try not to sit on buses and stuff and trains for the most part, unless I'm extremely tired. Because I always keep thinking, it's like these people are fat up and poops up on the chair and them. And I'm going to take my clean clothes and sit
Oh my
down.
gosh, a nice clean clothes, you know.
So I got to this thing where because I pick my nephews up in the afternoon, and so I have hand sanitizer and I spray the seats with sand. So guys, we lost Zozo. Yeah, so it's time for us to end. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see Zoe again. She's an amazing kid. She's a model. She's a student. She's an amazing, amazing, amazing girl. Thank you guys for joining. Oh, there she is again. Let me pull her back in for a quick second. Um, we'll pull her in for like another 5 minutes. I'm gonna go a little bit longer because it's Zozo. So Zozo, I was saying we'll give them another 5 minutes and then we'll wrap up.
All right, cool.
So finish up. Give me your last few words, advice.
Okay.
Um, about things that you have seen going on social media in different countries, whether it's Trinidad compared to where you are now.
Okay.
Like what are some of the things that what would you say to people?
I just say it's not only about you. You have more people. There's more people in the world than just you. And this will last so much longer than it has to if we don't stop being selfish, if we don't stop thinking only about ourselves. Because look at this damn toilet paper business. First of all, toilet paper won't stop anything. It won't stop anything. So, and for people to be so selfish and saying like I need to have everything from the store shelf, that I need to buy everything, I need to take it home with me, and no one else can have anything. As I said earlier, we have to stop being so selfish. We have to help each other out in this time. We can't just be thinking about ourselves, because that's not going to get us anywhere. And obviously we were not prepared for such a big pandemic, for a global pandemic, for something that countries with the best healthcare systems in the world are not prepared for. However many people are going to be rushed into the hospital because
Nope.
we cannot take care of them, and elderly people will be turned away. So just look out for yourself, but also look out for the people around you. And it's not just about, oh, I'm gonna step away from this person because I don't want to get. No, you're gonna say, I'm gonna step away from this person because I care about their health as well. I care about my
You
health
know,
as well.
Zoe, I love that. I love that, right? And I'll tell you why I love it. Because I said on a live and I say on a post, think positive.
Mm-hmm.
Think as though Kirk Cambridge, have COVID-19 and I don't want to give it to Zozo.
Yeah.
Zozo is my friend. These people are my friends. They're my family. And I want to act as though I already have it and I don't want to give it to someone. So I
Yeah.
stay to myself. I choose to do the responsible thing and
Yeah.
be a responsible human being and put other people first.
Yeah. Because even if you don't have it, you are still gonna be able to carry it in your body. And I think they're saying that it's gonna take 2 years for it to actually relax, for it to calm down. Because look
18
at
months,
China.
18 months to 24 months. Yep.
Exactly. China just got the most cases in a couple of weeks that they've had. I think they have
Yeah,
108
they had a
cases
huge
now.
resurgence, but it's on like the coast. The majority
Yeah.
of it's on the coast, and then they also are getting. They had a large influx of people coming in from the Russian border, and all of them tested positive.
Yeah. So you see, even if it subsides, it's only gonna subside for a little while, and it's
Yeah,
gonna come back, and then it's gonna go, it's gonna come back, and
but
it's gonna
but you
go.
see, the thing too is that the other part about this is that what they've analyzed from previous pandemics over the centuries is that, so of course people will observe the whole stay at home thing for a minute, right? And so they lift the curfews and they say, okay, well, you guys can go back outside. So then we start back having Zozo over, me and Zozo hanging out, we hanging out in a
Yeah.
crowd, but then there's one person in the crowd who may have it. And so then all of us, a couple of us in the group have it. We go into another group. And so we start not observing the
Yeah.
social distancing rules. And so it comes back again, and then it kind of fizzles out.
Yep.
Um,
Listen, when they
so
lift
again, it's
this
just,
lockdown,
huh?
I'm gonna let y'all go out first, test the air, see how it is. And then when everything is safe, I will be coming outside. So I will let whoever happy to go outside and excited for party and this and that and the other. Yeah, you enjoy it. And I'll know whether it's safe to come outside in a couple of weeks or not. That's all I have to say.
Zozo, it is such a pleasure to see you and
You
chat with
too.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It was so nice seeing you. And I mean, I talk to you all the time, but still, it's nice to actually see your beautiful face. All
Thank you.
right, so
I love
love
to
to
see you.
Granny. Of
Mwah.
course, I'm gonna talk to your mother after this is over.
I will.
Because no, I have to, because she's gonna talk. She's probably messaging me right now and saying, "Oh my God, those look so nice."
Hi, Mama.
Guys, thanks for joining. Zozo, lovely seeing you. Talk to you soon. All
Bye.
right, guys, thanks so much for joining. Have a great day. All right, see you guys tomorrow.